Welcome to another episode of America First, and I want to add America First, American First, where we reimagine the slogan through a democratic lens. Putting American first with policies that uplift everyone and not tears anyone down. We Democrats lost in 2024. We lost by failing to connect on key issues and policies. And we learned from those mistakes, offering bold, fair solutions for our nation's future forward. Economy. If we talk about economy, it's important to prioritize American workers and not punitive tariffs. Trump's America First tariffs like 34, I don't know today what's the number, 125% or 150% on China. It raises prices for American families with food and car and daily use item. Almost 50 to 60% daily use items unfortunately come from China and other countries, and these tariffs are going to cost are going to go higher up on day-to-day American people who buy these items. Democrats' 2024 mistake was ignoring inflation sting rising up 20% since 2021, leaving voters feel unheard, and their message on economy, they felt that with Harris-Walz campaign, it was unheard, and the focus group showed that. So our America First moving forward is invest in American workers with tax relief for the middle class, infrastructure, jobs, and fair trade deals that protect jobs without punishing consumers. And it's important to balance, the fair trade deals but at the same time, the consumers are not punished with higher prices. For example, supporting Michigan's auto workers by negotiating trade agreements that bring back manufacturing, but not having to tax families into hardships through higher cost on tariffs. Other big issue during 2024 election was immigration and securing borders and supporting legal pathways for workers who are needed in the farms, in the hospitals, and in the care industry, and in the hospital industry, restaurants, and so many other places. Trump's misuse of Aliens Enemies Act to deport people without legal due process violates court and Supreme Court mandate, and which ruled out yesterday, April 19th night. Democrats failed in 2024 by not addressing border security concerns and fueling open border perceptions that cost us the swing states. Whether it was our messaging, whether it was policies, or whether Democrats did not hear the message from the people right. But the open border policy and the chaos on the border and millions of people walking into the border, just like crossing the border and coming in, that was not accepted by Americans. Far too long, America is an immigrant nation of immigrants, but the path to immigration has to be legal. And that's what the message is from the people, that we welcome immigrants and we are a nation of immigrants, but the immigrants has to come legally and not illegally. And what happens is that these immigrants who are coming illegally, they are not vetted, and we don't know their background. We don't know whether they have committed crimes or what, and so there's no process. There are thousands and millions of people who are waiting patiently in the legal process, and when allowing these illegal immigrants to come through open borders, that's what not accepted by the voters, and that's what Democrats failed in 2024 election. Our America First, what I'm suggesting is that we secure our borders while creating legal pathways for workers in farms, hospitality, and care industry needing labor. As 40% of farm workers are undocumented, as per the web details available on any research paper. So what do we do? I mean, we build a comprehensive immigration reform which ensures that American citizens are prioritized, while legal immigrants like students coming out from India on visa can contribute without fear. And there's a pathway for farm workers and low-skilled workers which are needed on regular basis or seasonal basis. We open up a large number of those visas, and those visas has a fixed duration, whether it's 5 years, 3 years, or 6 years, and they have to leave and go back with no path to citizenship for those categories of visas. And there could be exceptions, and it's a matter of discussion for comprehensive reform policies. This is something for members of Congress and Senate to take on both sides and work on it and resolve this issue. Healthcare, access for all Americans, no exceptions. This has been a major, healthcare is a major, very expensive health cost factor in everybody's life. Someone who does not have a job, they might be paying anywhere from $1,800 to $3,000 for a family healthcare today. And Trump's plan to gut the ACA would strip almost 20 million Americans from healthcare and a direct attack on working families. Democrat lost in 2024 by not fighting hard enough on healthcare. Voters wanted tangible wins, not promises. Rural areas still neglected. I was in a couple of months ago, I was in Arizona in a rural part traveling and I fell down and had a knee injury. And I went to a rural urgent care, and they had no facility. They had no facility to do a scanning of my fracture and and they said I have to go to Phoenix to get it done next morning. I mean, that's one example. Our rural healthcare facility is still in a very broken stage, and not everybody has the Silicon Valley kind of healthcare available to them. And also, we were off on our messaging. We were focused on abortion and transgender issues, which did not matter much to the large percentage of American workers. It was a fringe issue which for a smaller impacting number of people, and we made it as our platform, which we should not have done. Lesson learned. So in My America First, we should protect the ACA, expand Medicaid in all states, including red states, and lower drug prices through Medicare negotiation. President Biden did a wonderful job in lowering down the insulin prices and various other drug prices, and we should continue doing that. And we should ensure that every American gets the proper health care, expanding on mental health care, expanding on diseases like cancer and autism and many other things, which are Alzheimer and Parkinson's, and investing in research in these areas so that we come out with solutions, and also in new technology around which could help in the coming generation from heart attacks and all the other diseases which are coming up due to stress and the living style. Obesity is another thing which needs to be addressed. So in states like Texas, expanding on Medicaid would cover over 1.5 million more people, putting American families first without leaving anyone behind. Now the debate comes up that in California, there's a gap of $2.2 billion on healthcare, and that is because Governor Newsom has expanded free healthcare to all illegal immigrants. And that's a debatable thing. I mean, on the human side, when you are in this country, whether legally or illegally, if you fall sick, you need to go and seek a doctor. And it's a human thing to do, to give them access to medical healthcare, and so that they could have it. But the economy-wise, the number-wise, the argument is that the people, if you spend that money on illegal immigrants, then the cost is going to be factored by people who are paying the bills for the legally for the healthcare, and where do you draw the line? So it's a fine question. I mean, where do you draw the line, and how do you make that those illegal immigrants pay for their healthcare and get access to that? And that, I think, that needs to be discussed further to bring a fine balance, and not having to spend and we should be prioritizing the needs of American first, including a lot of veterans. They don't get proper healthcare and access. I mean, so that is what needs to be prioritized first, and that is where, if we stop the illegal immigrants coming in and they come legally, they have a job, they can buy the healthcare through their work, and that is the route we should be taking, and not expanding on giving free healthcare for everyone. Education, let's invest in American kids and not cuts. I mean, Trump has pushed to dismantle the Department of Education. That threatens funding for low-income American students, risking a political void for our kids' future. Democrats, we erred in 2024 by not addressing parents' concerns about learning loss and school quality, and losing ground in battleground states like Virginia. And there were a lot of issues around this, which may or may not be tied to education, but allowing transgenders to compete in women's sports. Most of the parents, they don't like it. I mean, and our Democrat policies were pushing for it, and I think that was a wrong thing to do. Whether transgenders should have their own category in certain sports, but not certainly compete against women and have a unfair advantage to win. I mean, and that's something we should not be promoting. Or in My America First version, we should invest in public schools, raise teachers' pay. Teachers are one of the most hardworking, and their pays are not one of the lowest pays. I mean, or not in par with the rest of the industry. So we need to raise teachers' pay and take a learning loss from COVID, and ensuring that every American child has a fair shot and success, and people who get the scholarships and financial support on need-based and income-based and other factors that should be available. Those resources should be available. Now, in Ohio, increased funding could save 10,000 teaching jobs, putting American student first while supporting educators. And same thing could happen around the country. Another important thing, I think, this is more from what I see in and around me in the communities, is that charity work, empowering communities, supporting and support American families. Trump policies like tax cuts for the rich diverted resources from charities and aids, leaving food banks and homeless shelters struggling, as donation has dropped, by 10 to 20% since 2021. Based on the Forbes philanthropy trends. We Democrats have not highlighted support for community programs or as much as which is needed, missing a chance to connect with faith-based and rural voters who value charity. In My America First version, we should boost tax incentive for charitable giving, fund community programs like food banks, and supporting American families who do local work in their community around USA, and those charities needs to be supported. And I think the other thing is that lot of people who as immigrants, they have affiliations back home in their countries, and they're supporting different initiatives, from supporting a girl child to supporting rural villages, or building sanitation and so many other schools and colleges and resources in their home countries. And they raise millions and millions of dollars from US and send it back to those countries in building hospitals, sanitation, and so many other issues. I mean, nothing wrong in it, but what needs to be prioritized is that that you do the charity first in US and do for the resources and share your resources for communities around you which are struggling, and then do a percentage of your charity work in your home country or abroad or other countries. But we need to do our tangible work in America and for people in America who need that help, and in cities in America. Foreign wars and endless conflicts, and we need to focus on American safety. Now, we have seen over a period of time since Iraq war and Afghanistan war and now Ukraine war and war in Israel and Gaza and Syria, and what happens is that everybody has the local issues or global issues, and they come up with the wars, and then it becomes responsibility of America to foot those bills, to send our young fighters to go and fight in those wars, and ending up spending millions and millions of dollars and billions of dollars, and then we hear that there was not a tangible outcome we wanted. We went to fight Taliban in Afghanistan, and we ended over handling the administration to Taliban. We went to fight in Syria, and what happened there? We went to fight in Iraq, and the whole region lost its stability, and it's a chaos out there. So in pursuit of establishing democracy and democratic values, there are better ways. I mean, and those ways of discussions and peace talks and continuous talks and economic pressure should be used and explored more and more and more, and war should be the last resort. There are a lot of stories of conspiracies of corruption, how the money is being laundered during these wars, which was sent for foreign help and aid, and all those things are there. I'm not going to get into that, but Democrats lost in 2024 by not listening to the people, that they were tired of this endless wars, they're tired of funding to Ukraine, they were tired of not offering a clear anti-war stance, and young voters wanted action on Gaza and Ukraine, but the campaign stayed silent, and the silence was not acceptable. That was reflected in the voting pattern, and we lost. So in my vision of America First, we should end endless wars and redirect our military spending to American needs like infrastructure and building roads, bridges, and hospitals and education institutions and other infrastructure, airports and railroads and others. And we should use our diplomatic channels to keep us safe without overextending abroad. And if it happens abroad, then definitely there has to be a negotiation how the bill of the cost of the war is going to be shared by all the parties involved. Cutting overseas bases by 10% could save us $50 billion annually. It could be revisiting base by base is needed, and what is the criticality, and so that we can use that money to rebuild American roads, schools, and putting our nation first. So what does that mean? Democrats, America First, in my version of Democrats, America First means prioritizing our citizens with bold, fair policies, lifting up workers, securing borders, ensuring health care, educating our kids, and supporting charities. We need to, reflect on 2024. Let me take a minute to reflect on 2024, because a lot of people have asked me this question, that why did we lost 2024 and what are we going to do about it? So we lost 2024, according to me. I was there in Atlanta when President Biden, the last debate, and he just spoke and came out of the debate, and we knew that he didn't do well. He was not feeling well, whether he had COVID or whether he had throat infection. And then basically after the debate, he came out. I talked to him for a minute or so, and he was doing well, and he was very excited, very enthusiastic, and so whatever happened, but the way President Biden was treated was not right. The way President Biden was pushed out by whether it's conspiracy theories around by Nancy Pelosi or others was not correct. President Biden has given to this country for a long time and devoted himself and has done a great amount of work where he can be admired as one of the best president. But his exit and the way he was pushed out was made a lot of Biden supporters unhappy, especially in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. I was, campaigning in Pennsylvania and knocking doors for many days for Harris, Vice President Harris campaign. And when I knocked few doors and I said they were hardcore Democrats were listed, I just wanted to make sure they're coming out and voting for Vice President Harris. And they said to me, you guys talk about saving the democracy and you have not elected your candidate through a democratic process. So how should we trust you? I had no answer for that. And he was right. So Vice President Harris started the campaign, took over the campaign in 107 days. I think she ran an excellent campaign with several exceptions, but reaching out to, and we raised a lot of money and there was a lot of optimism and enthusiasm, and she displayed that on various events, and there was excitement around her leadership and her candidacy. But what has happened was that what people felt was that Vice President Harris avoided undecided voters, which was the main target. And they felt that the campaign was focusing too much on celebrity events over town halls. For example, I was in Pennsylvania on I think November 3rd, and there was a Ricky Martin concert and event. And after that, I came out. I was talking to few folks there and Uber drivers and others. And I said, are you guys going to vote for Harris tomorrow? And there were a few police officers I asked. And they said, you think that you will bring these celebrities and Ricky Martin and Jennifer Lopez and all the others, and they will tell us to whom to vote. They don't even know about the grocery prices. These celebrities are out of touch and they don't even know about the grocery prices or what problems we are facing, just because they tell us we are not going to vote. And they say we are not going to vote for Harris. I knew that in my door knocking process that there's serious trouble, which I shared with DNC leadership, and key voters felt ignored during 2024. Democrats lost a large percentage of young voters, Latino voters, black voters, Indian American voters, primarily Hindu voters, and Democrats were, focusing and overemphasizing on issues like trans rights over jobs and inflation, and in this process we're alienating our base. I'll give you an example. We lost Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania by almost 75,000 votes. I don't remember exact numbers. But what happens is that the Indian Americans leaders, they clearly told me that there's a big persecution of Hindus going on in Bangladesh, and we need our president and vice president to take some action or make a comment. And that was serious at that point in time. On the day of the Diwali, Trump took a advantage, and he just tweeted that if I'm elected, I'm going to put this end to Hindu persecution in Bangladesh and support India. That tweet enough was to move almost 20-25% of Indian, South Asian Indian American votes for Trump, and that's what we saw. President Biden got almost 78% Indian American votes in 2020, and Harris got around 55 to 57 or less number of votes from Indian Americans and there was a shift of almost 20 to 25% of votes in favor of Trump, just because of that one tweet and the three other reasons: economy, immigration, and stronger US-India relationship. This was not taken seriously by Democratic campaign leadership, and there was no message on this. And if we took the numbers of those 25% vote lost in just the battleground states of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, those were the margin of victory, almost around 70,000 votes of Indian Americans alone. Leave aside Latino, young and black voters. If we had the Indian American votes in those battleground states, the story could be different today. The point is that by alienating key voters and ignoring their message and issues, and Muslim voters, we lost our victory of margin. Economic disconnect. The campaign failed to address cost of living fears, how things would be done differently from the current administration, and why should they vote that in the future this would be different. So I guess overall there was economic disconnect, and campaign failed to address cost of living fears, and Trump laid on economic trust, and voters felt Democrats ignored their financial struggle. There were policy failures. Inflation, Democrats, Bidenomics boasted growth, but voters felt, inflation and prices going up by 20%. On immigration, policy failure, open border perception hurt Democrats. Failing to secure borders or pass reforms frustrated voters, especially in swing states. Policy failure around energy, pushing green energy without addressing gas prices spiked, alienated rural voters who saw Democrats as prioritizing climate over their wallets. So Democrats were not present enough, lacking bold moves. They let Trump dominate with constant direct voter engagement. We did not have the digital space advantage as the Trump campaign had. We did not have, proper podcast ways to reach our voters and spread the key message around these areas and the policies. And also the foreign policy missteps, being silent on Gaza and Ukraine, lost young voters, while Trump tapped into anti-war sentiment. So overall, there are a lot of lessons learned and things, and it's important to listen to each constituent, each voters, and hear from them, and then shape our policies and messaging, and not the other way which has been traditionally done, hiring consultants and political consultants who take large amount of money, and they craft party messaging and issues, and then those are used going forward. Those are disconnected. These key pain points and issues has to come from the communities, from the people, and those has to become ultimately the voice of people, has to be the party platform messages. So lesson learned. So stay tuned, and I'll talk to you in my next conversation and dialogue and podcast with you. Have a great Easter weekend. Thank you.